Nandhini ma'am, welcome to Southside FM and thank you very, very much for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure to be here and thank you very much for inviting me.
Well, I have to tell you, it's a huge honor because after having watched Inspector Rishi, and I think I'm speaking for everyone who has seen it, and most of the people that I know have already seen it, they have been blown away by everything about this, not just the story, but the production values and everything that goes with it. So tell me, how did this idea germinate? I believe it's something like 12 or 13 years in the making.
Yes. My first film released in 2009, and the idea to do a investigative thriller popped in my head in 2010. Because I've been a big fan of detective fiction novels and all these pocket novels, and I've also been a big fan of horror movies and anything that is outwardly or fantasy fiction and sci-fi and urban legends and folklore. I've been a big fan of those kind of stories, and as an audience, as a reader. So as a director, I also wanted to write something that fascinated me, and I knew that a lot of people are like me, who would relate to these kind of stories. So I started writing it, and over the years, I tried pitching it as a movie, and some projects started and it didn't take off, and there were a lot of setbacks and failures.
Mhm.
Over the years I was busy with other smaller projects, and finally after the OTT boom, around 2019, Amazon Prime Video was looking for scripts, and I kind of rewrote the whole thing as a web series. And most of the ideas were quite outdated at that time, because the initial ideas were like in 2010. It was very, like, it was more of like a commercial movie, but I wanted to make it very real and very, like, even though it is a supernatural story, I wanted to make it very believable. I wanted the characters to be very believable and relatable, like who you see in your real life. I didn't want anything to seem very fake, even though it is a supernatural story. So that's how it came into existence.
I have to tell you, you succeeded completely in that respect because those characters are so realistic. They're so credible. As you said, it's like people that you actually know. But if I may, let's come back to Inspector Rishi a little later on because in this interview, I'd like to get to know more about Nandini ma'am, the person. And
Okay.
I have to tell you that the first time I saw your name was, and I found out much later that it was your first movie, Thiru 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 Thiru, and
Yes,
Satyam
yes,
Cinemas produced that. And,
yes,
and, and it
yes,
was so fresh, it was so different. And the
yes.
question I have to ask is, why didn't you follow that up with more?
um, that wasn't my first script. I think I'm a person who thinks big, and there are a lot of bigger concepts with. It's very difficult to actually execute it in a lower budget. So my ideas were bigger, and it needed a lot of production value, and it needed VFX. So initially, when I started pitching those subjects, producers were like, why don't you pitch something smaller and cuter, like how women like rom-coms, why don't you pitch something rom-com? So I actually wrote Thiru 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 because I knew that would be my gateway into film industry. So I wrote Thiru 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 with these two opposite characters and a little baby, and it was very cute. But I think there is a lot of other, there are vampires in my head and all these other creatures that were like, let us out. So I wanted to follow that up afterwards, but still I think people kept wanting to do the same kind of films, and I didn't want to be like how actors get typecast. I didn't
Mhm.
want to create more and more rom-coms and get into that, because that's just not who I am. But I do love romance, I do love relationships, I do love the drama part of it, but I would like to put it in a different package. So that's how the other stories came about.
Well, you're very, very modest because, I mean, you are a Tamil Nadu State Award winner for Best Director as
Yes,
a student. Now, that is not something
yes,
small.
yes.
So tell me, how did that come about?
Yeah, so no one from my family was into film industry. So I didn't have any backup, and I didn't have any godfather in the industry. But my parents were people who believed in education and proper education and proper, you need to learn the craft before you get into something.
Mhm.
So when I joined the film institute, I knew that would be that was my, the only opportunity that I'll find to learn the craft in the beginning, because I didn't have any other friends or family in the industry. So I took it very seriously, and I earnestly made a short film about domestic abuse. And it kind of resonated, and it won the that diploma film won the state award. And that was a great thing, that okay, though, so she's actually being serious. She can take it forward. It's not something that she wants to try out and give up after a few years. I think that gave my family a great confidence in that. Okay, though, she'll follow this path. So it's just, I don't know how the award happened, but I think I just um it's a
Creativity.
very honest, yes, it's a very honest effort to say something from my heart, and I think it resonated with people. Yeah.
And then I want to stay with your accolades because after winning the Tamil Nadu State Award, which I think is the pinnacle for most people, then you went
Yeah.
ahead and went into new territory. The first digital comic in Tamil, Sivapakal Mukuthi.
Yes,
So where did that
yes,
idea
yes.
start from? Was it very early on, or did it come about after you won the state award?
No, that was much later. And a state award was when I was just passing out from the Film Institute in 2003.
Mhm.
And then I actually worked as an assistant director with director Priya, madam, who
Mhm.
made this film called Kandanal Mudal.
Loved the movie.
So yes, I know, so she's great in that area, in that genre. She's fabulous in that. So I worked with her, and after that, I was doing these small ad films and corporate films. And after my first film, I was trying out, which came in 2009. Thiru 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 came in 2009, and I was trying to pitch Inspector Rishi's original film draft to many producers. It was not happening, and there was a lot of setbacks. And I kind of almost quit the film industry, and I thought, okay, this is not working out, and I sort of took a break, and I thought, okay, there's so many ideas in my head. Maybe I could, get some artist. I would draw it out. I could probably make a graphic novel out of it, and out of a screenplay. So I chose this one of the scripts that I had in my hand, which is Sivapakal Mukuti, about a girl who finds a nose ring in underwater lake, and what happens after that. So I kind of made that into a graphic novel, and I started pitching that as a film.
Mhm.
At that time in 2015, there was a whole boom all around the world, where all these comic book based films were coming out. Marvel, DC was
Mhm.
booming with all sorts of superhero films, and graphic novels were being made into films. And Shekhar Kapoor had brought about a graphic novel. Priyanka Chopra was part of Devi Comics. So, a lot of filmmakers were also trying to bring the comics and the films. They were kind of bringing those two huge mediums together. So that was my attempt at that time.
Mhm.
So because I felt like I'm a storyteller, and it doesn't matter what medium I tell the stories with. So it could be
True.
a graphic novel, it could be a film, it could be a web series. It didn't matter to me. I just wanted to tell stories.
Well, you know what? You've also been somewhat of a pioneer in web series because Nila Nila Wariva, what was that, 2018?
2018, yes, yes,
Right.
yes.
So that
That
was,
at that time people didn't know what web series was. So people used to think it was like is it a soap? Is it a serial? Is it going to come in all these Sun TV, Vijay TV? So people didn't know what web series was, and YouTube was very popular with those episodic shows. but nobody knew that you could actually download an app on your
Mhm.
phones and on your tablets, and it will come on the television as an app, and you can subscribe. So that was very new at that time. So we experimented at that time also.
Well, you know what? Having watched that, I think I probably watched it during the lockdown and thoroughly enjoyed it. And my first question obviously was, why wasn't everyone talking about the series? Because it really was so fresh, so different, and so entertaining.
Yeah, yeah.
So do you
No,
think it was
it
the medium that was still relatively new at the time?
it was very new. There a lot of people were not very comfortable with all these apps and downloading those apps and watching video content like that. And View also is fairly a smaller platform compared to Netflix and Amazon and all these biggies.
Hmm.
So it was there was a growth boom also happening with the other platforms coming in, and
Hmm.
View was not able to really, unfortunately, stay here in India. So they kind of left India at that time, as they were doing really well in Telugu, Tamil, and Hindi at that time.
Hmm.
So, but I think these bigger giants came with bigger budgets and bigger shows, and Nila suddenly became a very smaller show with a very low production value, with with bad VFX, unfortunately. So people started comparing it with Sacred Games. I was like, no, that is like way that's a whale, and I have this tiny little fish. So my reference was all these K dramas, and I don't know whether
Hmm.
you've heard of the show called What We Do in the Shadows.
I've heard of
That's
it, yes.
a Yes, yes. It's a very I wouldn't say low budget, but like a humbly made vampire comedy. No, so that was my reference.
Well, you
But
know what?
I'm Yeah.
Unfortunately, when I watch things, because of the nature of my job, I watch it with a critical eye. So it was clear that Nila Wadiva had a very limited budget, but within that budget, you
Yeah.
created magic. Now, I want
Thank you
you
so much.
to very seriously think. I know you planned a sequel. Don't put an end to that plan yet, because I have a
Okay.
feeling
Okay.
if more people get to see Nila Wadiva, that sequel is going to
Mm.
be in big demand. I did an interview with
Okay.
Ashwin last year sometime, and he was really
Oh, yeah, yeah,
surprised that people in South Africa had even heard of it, let alone see it.
yeah. No, that's very encouraging. Thank you so much.
Okay, so let's get now to Inspector Rishi. And I
Okay.
know you know it's been a phenomenal response across the globe. And I think
Yes,
for
yes.
good reason. If you try to reduce the film and you say it's an investigative thriller or an investigative horror thriller, it's not a fair description of what it is, what the entire series is about, is it?
Yes, yes, yes. It's not. It's kind of limiting because people have seen all these various and thousands of crime investigation shows, and
Mhm.
they've seen all these different monsters and beings, and so it wouldn't have been a unique show if it I had limited it only to that story where it is just the crime investigation and the horror. So I know that people do find it a bit lengthy, but it's okay for a long form series. It's not a 2 hour film,
Mhm.
and we can have all these subplots and detailing of these characters. So it kind of became like a multi-genre show and not just a crime investigation horror show. Yeah.
I love the way you developed all the characters. And I know most screenplays, they concentrate on the main characters only, and the smaller characters get forgotten. But you haven't done
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It was actually good because I've grown up watching all these long form shows that we used to like wait for every Thursday and Friday. We used to watch 21 episodes and like 5 seasons, and it took 5 years for those shows, and we kind of grew up with those shows. It wasn't
Mhm.
like binge watching 10 episodes overnight like how it
Okay.
is nowadays. People are
Mhm.
so fast and they have no patience, but I think I'm kind of old school like that, and I've whether it is like a Breaking Bad, Law and Order, or Walking Dead, and I've like all these shows which had a lot. It took a lot of time and they had a lot of great character development and story development, and there were a lot of things that made us think, a lot of moments that made us feel, and not just it was just not pure entertainment. There was entertainment, but
Mhm.
it also had a lot of things that we could think about our own lives and people around us. I think that is what I wanted for Inspector Rishi.
And I think also more than the story development, the character development, and the way the different arcs come in, I was also really, really taken in by the amount of research that went into the script.
Yes, yes,
That is so obvious. And for me, that's what makes this stand out way, way above your ordinary investigative thriller. So was that something
yes.
that you deliberately wanted to do, or is that the way you normally do things?
Nowadays the audience is extremely smart. They find logical flaws in everything. They do forgive the mainstream cinema because they know that that's just for entertainment. I will not ask questions there, but anything that is made seriously, they'll get like, okay, okay, this is a flaw, that is the problem, that doesn't work like that. And
Mhm.
as a in a crime scene investigation, we need to hold the suspense, and we need to hold their interest long enough. But also, they shouldn't be able to figure out a lot of things as they are watching the show. So
Mhm.
because now everything has answers. They have Google, they have the internet. Like, they can immediately take the phone and, like, what is this, what is this, they can find out the answers immediately.
Mhm.
So though so much information is already available there, so in order to hook the audience, you need to do a lot of research, a lot of homework. And this kind of story needed that, where we are telling the story of a supernatural uh, element, and we have a skeptic uh, who's going against it. So
Which
the
creates
film
a
is
lovely
already
balance.
divided.
Yeah.
Correct, correct, correct. So if I have to somehow, if the skeptic protagonist is trying to explain the supernatural incidents, then I need to have answers for it, and I need to tell them the answers before the audience thinks about it. So I think that research was needed for this story.
And also, I think I'm not sure whether this was deliberate. For that kind of genre, it was not gory at all. It was very, very watchable as far as I was concerned.
Yes,
So
yes,
was that
yes,
a
yes.
planned strategy from you?
As an audience, I don't enjoy too much of gore. I do enjoy zombies getting mutilated. That is fine, but I don't enjoy human beings getting mutilated.
Mhm,
That's
mhm,
I don't enjoy rape, or I don't enjoy these extreme violence, which is very, very shocking to me.
mhm,
So I think it's a little, people can call me a softie, but I do love horror, which is a lot more psychological, lot more internal, feeling as if somebody's standing behind your back rather than having a skull crushed.
mhm.
I think that horror is a lot more intimidating and scary for me. So that is what I wanted to show in this. I'm hearing that a lot of families are watching the show together. I think that's a rare thing that can happen to an OTT show, because people usually watch it all alone on their laptops or tablets or phones, and very rarely they sit together on their couch in their living rooms watching it as a family. And I'm getting people are sending me photographs of
Mhm.
their family. They're sending me selfies of all of them sitting together and watching the
Well,
show.
that's the way
That
I
is
watched it
fabulous. Oh wow.
with my family. Now,
That is wonderful.
the technical aspect of Inspector Rishi,
Yes.
that really blew me away. I mean, from that opening long shot, the
Yes.
cinematography was world class. And
Yes. Yes.
I somehow imagine that it didn't happen by accident, that it was something that you planned.
Yes. 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 The script itself, I wrote it in a way where it was almost like an instruction manual to all my technicians. It was kind of like, even the camera instructions, not too much, not when someone reads the screenplay, it doesn't interrupt their experience of imagining the show, but it had those very, very intricate and important movements of how the camera moves. Like, I'll tell you an example. There is a shot where Rishi is lying down and he's looking at the ceiling. The camera is right on top of
I
him.
remember that,
So
yes.
if you look at the scene, I would have written that, the camera is facing him, and it starts moving to the left, it starts rotating, and you actually see the floor, and then you see the wall on the left, and it goes towards the ceiling, and you see the fan, and then you see Vijay there. So it was all written in the script. And Bhargav Sridhar, our DOP, he's kind of, he actually made it a lot better. He just worked on top of whatever was written. And his aesthetics is fabulous. The way he composes things, and the way he stages his lighting style, his everything. And he's also kind of old school. He doesn't do like a very fast like that kind of a,
Mhm.
he also has a very classy way of handling his camera. So it kind of gelled well. And one of the more important reasons why cinematography looks so good is the color sense that Bhargav had, which
Oh, yes.
we worked
Yes.
together with our production designer Kadir sir.
Mhm.
And Kadir sir is a veteran in the industry. Like, I think our project is this 78th or 80th project. So coming from that experience and putting it all his great knowledge into the creating the world of Inspector Rishi. And I think all that worked together to create. And the locations, everybody talks about locations. And we just hunted those locations. And everybody says, what place is it? And we tell Munnar. Munnara, we've never seen that. Where is this place in Munnar? We've not seen it, because we used to travel 1 hour 2 hours away from Munnar, and we used to hunt down these forests and uh, the villages nearby, and all these exotic places that untouched by cinema. So I think all that put together gave great visuals.
No, the visuals really something fantastic. I think I actually plan one day to switch the volume off just so that I can concentrate on the visuals. Tell me
Oh, nice.
the casting of Sunaina and Malini. Was that
Hmm.
something easy to do? Was that your first choice? How did you go about doing the casting? Because those two characters are pivotal to the story.
Yes, yes. Sunana, I've worked with her in Nila Nila Odiva before,
Mhm.
so we've become good friends after that. But that alone isn't a reason to cast somebody. Sunana is someone who um, felt that she hasn't had the right characters been offered to her, and she's still hungry to do a lot of different roles. And I thought that Kathy's role would be a great fit for her, to experiment and to explore and move to the next territory. And Amazon also fortunately felt the same way about Sunaina, and it worked out.
Mhm.
uh, Malini's character was tough because there aren't many. I mean, there are. I wanted to cast a queer person in the queer role,
Mhm.
um, and also make sure that that person could act. It shouldn't just be like, okay, I just cast a queer person in a queer role.
Mhm.
Though I had Malini in mind for a long time, I did audition a few more people along with Malini, and
Mhm.
she came out in flying colors with her performance. And there was rigorous auditions for all the characters, all the cast members, and there was a proper process to figure out the right person for the role, for each role. So that is how everyone was casted in the show.
Yeah, because I'm looking at even Naveen as well as Ravi. I thought they brought something new into the character. It wasn't you could
Yes,
see it was going beyond the script, that they
yes,
completely drenched, immersed themselves into the character. So
yes, yes,
again,
yes.
your decision to take artists of that caliber, definitely it worked for you.
Correct. Yes, yes, yes. I'm very happy with everybody because everyone mentions it as one of the, uh, assets of the film. It's not
Mhm.
just the cinematography or the visuals or the production value. Everybody
Mhm.
says your casting was spot on.
Mhm.
Everybody just fit into the role, and they've all performed so well. Everybody's getting praised for their role. Even the smallest of actors. There's this little girl who kind of digs a grave for the Vanarachchi doll. She was so fabulous. She was a professional, and I was just mind blown by like how I think I'm just lucky. That is the day when I was shooting with her. I felt like this is luck. To get her, I don't know what was happening. Yeah.
She has such a small role, but it was such a memorable role. No one who
Yes,
sees
yes,
the
yes.
series is ever going to forget that child.
Yes, yes. Yeah. She's gonna
And
go places. I hope so.
I know you've got a sequel or at least one sequel in mind. I hope that's going to
Yes.
come to fruition.
Yes, yes. I'm writing for it. I'm developing the script right now, and I hope it happens very soon. Yeah.
And I'd really like to see the same kind of sensibility go into the film industry as well. And I'd really love to see you go into the full cinema mode again, because I think the time
Yes.
is right now. The market is there.
Yeah.
People are looking for something different, something fresh, something creative. And I really think that is what you have to offer. So
I hope so. Yes,
yeah,
because
I'm hoping you are going to make that happen.
yes, yes, yes. I also have a few ideas for a feature film, because yes, theater gives an exceptionally great experience. The whole hundreds of people sitting in a theater in darkness, watching something together, experiencing something together, laughing and being moved. That is that kind of energy you will not find anywhere, and that is something I've been missing for a long time. And I'm hoping that Inspector Rishi leads me there. Yes.
Yeah, because you see the kind of sensibility that one can see in your writing. We desperately need right now in Tamil cinema, because I think that aspect is lacking. So even if you look at some of the most established directors, uh, there are major flaws in the screenplay, which is going past all the assistants and everyone else. So you clearly don't have that problem because your writing is measured, it's careful, and that's why I'm saying for the cinema industry, we need you.
Thank you. That I don't know, I'm just overwhelmed by this support. I'm very grateful for this. Thank you. And I hope to do justice to it and put in the same kind of effort and thought into writing, and be responsible and be sensitive and be also give entertainment. That is also an important factor, but also great stories, that stays with you. That's what I hope to achieve. Thank you so much. I'm just
No, no,
moved.
my pleasure. There are lots of people who are going to be listening in because we're going to do the audio and also be watching in that would love to hear your message to South Africans in particular. And I think it'll be
Yes.
only fitting. நிறைய பேர் இங்க தமிழ் நல்ல புரியும். தமிழ் ஏதாவது சொல்லுங்க.
ஆம், இன்ஸ்பெக்டர் ரிஷி பார்த்தவங்களுக்கும் பார்க்க போறவங்களுக்கும் என்னுடைய நன்றிகள். ஆஹ், நீங்க இல்லைன்னா இந்த மாதிரியான கிரியேட்டர்ஸ் வெளியிலே வர முடியாது. ஏன்னா ஒரு நல்ல படைப்பு வரும்போது அதுக்கான அப்ரிசியேஷன் கிடைக்கலன்னா நாங்கெல்லாம் காணா போயிடுவோம். பட் இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு லவ் அண்ட் அப்ரிசியேஷன் கிடைக்கும் போது ரொம்ப சந்தோஷமா இருக்கு, அண்ட் ரொம்ப என்கரேஜிங்கா இருக்கு. பண்ணலாம், இந்த மாதிரி கதைகள் பண்ணலாம், பிகாஸ் தி ஆடியன்ஸ் ஆர் அக்செப்டிங் இட் அப்படிங்கிறது இட்ஸ் வெரி என்கரேஜிங். ஸோ ரொம்ப ரொம்ப நன்றி. And thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to voice out these things.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We and in perfect timing because we're just now running out of time. மிக்க மிக்க நன்றி நன்றி வணக்கம்.
ரொம்ப நன்றி. Thank you so much. Thank you. வணக்கம்.
வணக்கம்.
வணக்கம்.